Say hi.
Yeah, sure. No, it's a good intro.
Good intro.
Yes.
Welcome back, everyone. James is in the house again, and we're
Hello,
going to talk
hello.
about alcohol.
Yes,
Or actually, we should just talk about addictions in general.
for sure.
I think that would be a good one.
Yeah.
So as we are recording, it is early 2024, January, when a large part of the population is going through a period of sobriety or restraint from some form of addiction that they have
Mhm.
in an attempt to feel better.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to talk about James's experience with addiction, if you want to call it that,
For
and
sure.
sobriety,
Yeah.
and what it feels like for him and what it means for him. And then we'll talk about addiction and why it happens and all the different types of addiction and people who you might not know you're addicted, but all of us are addicted to something. So I want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I certainly was. I was an alcoholic for a long, long time.
How long would you say?
I mean, I went to college when I was 18 years old, and I pretty much had the same habits up until November of 2022.
Right.
So
long time.
It didn't change a whole lot. And I never considered myself. I never looked at myself as an alcoholic. And I think when you're in it and you're in your daily life and you're just in your routine, you don't think about it. But it's nice when you have people around you that say, you know what, you're really affecting things. And certainly I give a ton of credit to my wife, Jessica, who showed me that there is a better way. And there's a better life out there without it. So yeah, I'm 13 months in now.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, when we used to record, we would always go and grab a beer after or something.
For sure, you're right.
And anytime we hung out in Door County, which was a lot, it was always at a bar.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that against you. I mean, I was there too, so it's
No,
nothing new to me.
No, and that was my relationship with alcohol was certainly different than your relationship with it. Mine was not healthy. It wasn't fun. Maybe sometimes in the moment, but it needed to stop. The most amazing thing is I've heard so many stories, but I didn't go to AA.
I know you didn't do rehab or anything.
I didn't wean off.
Right.
I had my last beer and that was it.
Right, which is incredible, and not everyone can do that. So there's nothing wrong with getting help if you've tried and you can't do it on your own. I think that there are definitely programs, AA or others, that are very beneficial. But addiction is complicated, and as I've evolved to understand addiction, I understand it more deeply because it isn't always to alcohol. It isn't always to a drug. It can be to shopping. I mean, you've seen me sometimes being addicted to shopping, right? Yeah. It can be to obviously nicotine. It can be to food. Yeah. It can be to social media, obviously.
Of course.
When we were on our vacation for the holidays, my daughter said she's like, I feel like I'm addicted to my phone right now. So I'm just putting it away. She didn't touch it the entire week, which is awesome. Cool. Incredible for her. Every kid should do that. But I mean, it can be to so many different things. And I'm realizing the source of our addictions is to numb ourselves. This isn't that groundbreaking of a statement, but we're numbing ourselves from a loss or a hurt or a stuffed emotion.
Yeah.
Something that we haven't dealt with, right?
That's certainly me. Yeah, I wasn't dealing with a lot, and I was coping with alcohol.
Yeah, and I think so. And it doesn't mean you can't do these things, right? Like, so I think going full sober isn't always the right thing for people, and I think that's one of my beefs with the wellness industry is that there's a lot of shame and guilt because people post a lot of negative things about alcohol or other substances, and it's not always the right thing for a person to go completely abstinent. I think for you it's amazing. But it's having an awareness of why are you using that product or substance or that shopping or whatever you're doing, and then making a decision like, okay, I'm still going to do this and I'm going to deal with the repercussions of it, but I just need to numb out a little bit. And I think that's okay.
Yeah. The scariest thing for me was thinking about how I was going to be afterward.
Right.
Not about getting sober, but was I still going to have my personality?
Right.
Was I still going to be fun?
Fun, right. Interesting, right.
Interesting, any of those things. And once I discovered that
you are,
it was going to be
it hasn't changed at all.
Like a week later,
right.
It was easier to swallow, so to speak.
Right.
And I just haven't turned back. And it is different for everyone. And for whoever's addicted to anything, there's no right or wrong way to help find you in a better space.
Yeah. And I think what I see in patients a lot is I see a lot of addictions, and I see a lot of complete unawareness or denial of the addictions. And that's I was talking on the other podcast about the scale for change, readiness for change. And there's the whole series. There's pre-contemplation, which we have no idea that this thing is going on. You want to change it. Totally oblivious, right? I think about that like people at the Packer games walking around sloshed and eating cheese curds and brats and probably doing that many days of the week. So that's pre-contemplation. Then there's contemplation, where you start to be like, oh, is this a problem? Is this something that's not good for me? Maybe I want to change. And then there's, I forgot the names of it, but then you actually start taking action on that and making changes in your life. And then you get to a maintenance phase where you've done it and you're doing well, and you can maintain that. But I see a lot of patients who are in that pre-contemplation state where I see it. I see because I ask them all about everything they do every day. And I see a couple things where I know that it's holding them back from reaching their true potential, but I can't even bring it up because they're not ready to hear it yet.
Such a great point.
So yeah. I think, like, what was it? Was it Jessica that brought you to that state of actually like seeing it? Because
no doubt, yeah. Because I've been talking
Jessica's
about
his
it.
Wife.
Yeah, I've been talking about it for a while. I mean, a couple of years really. I knew that what I was doing wasn't okay. I didn't know how to stop, or wasn't ready to stop even. But having somebody that cares about you enough to say, look at what you're doing, not only to me, to yourself, it was like, wow. And I never thought the word alcoholic never really came into my conscience. I was just like, yeah, I like to party sometimes, right? Make that excuse.
Right.
But I did. If you look at it, I was. And the changes in the beginning, a little scary. Change is hard, right? But it didn't take long to see that I was sleeping better, that I was waking up with a clear mind, a clear conscience, that my ability to work was so much better.
And your anxiety completely resolved.
Anxiety's gone.
You don't have anxiety disorder. You had
no, it's truly incredible. And still have some, working some way through some things because it is new and different, but it's incredible.
Yeah. And so I think for listeners, I always like to just tell people, like, just do an inventory on your daily habits. Are there things that you do every day that you're trying to numb yourself, right? Or trying to get away from your feelings or get away from reality.
Yeah. And
are those things good for you, or are they bad for you? Because some people over-exercise. That can be an addiction, right? Mm-hmm. I ran 6 miles a day all the way through medical school. And I would not miss. I was neurotic about it. Mm-hmm. I was numbing myself, and if I had continued that, I would have hurt myself.
Right.
I would have worn out my knees. Right. So is there something you're doing every day, and is it good for you? If it's good for you, great. Mm-hmm. Keep doing it. It's okay. Right. There's nothing wrong with seeking dopamine hits.
No.
But if you're doing something every day and it's probably damaging your body or your mind or your spirit, then it's time to start asking yourself questions and observing yourself and observing the situations. Which people are you with that make you do this thing? What is your job that is making you do this thing? Mm-hmm. Is it your relationship with your spouse? Is it a trauma from childhood that you have not addressed and gotten therapy for, or done brain spotting or ketamine or whatever you need to do to clear it out? Like that, childhood trauma is a big freaking deal.
Yes.
Huge. And then just start observing it and asking yourself questions. And you might not change for a couple of years, right? Mm-hmm. You might take 2 years to be in that pre-contemplation state where you're just observing, but you're still doing the practice. But then you might have that moment where someone comes into your life who you care about and you want to keep in your life, right?
That's right.
Or you finally it just clicks, and then you can start to do the actual action state where you make the change, and it can be gradual or it can be abrupt, like you did it.
Yeah, no, I feel I missed out on a lot.
I've heard, yes.
I'm just thinking back, there's just like a lot of things I don't remember, or if somebody had to tell me, it's just like, wow, and I'm so fortunate, so happy that I don't have to go through that anymore.
I've heard that from a lot of people with like alcoholics specifically, that when they become sober, there's a huge amount of regret for the years that they wasted with their family or not pursuing their passions,
exactly,
accelerating their career, doing adventures they wanted to do. And I think And that obviously is outside of my realm of work, but that's, there shouldn't be shame involved with it. There should be, maybe talk to someone about it and learn how to navigate through that, because what's done is done. And then you have this whole beautiful pasture.
The future's bright.
The future's so bright, right?
No doubt. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think your case is very unique. I think most people need help doing what you did, I would say.
Yeah. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with trying to do it on your own. I don't know if AA is the right thing for everyone because it's so harsh about abstinence. But I spoke with someone recently who did a month away somewhere and probably had a team. This person probably had the funds to do this, but they had a team of therapists and energy healers, and they had fitness and they had nature exposure. It was the whole experience, which is obviously on the other end of the spectrum. And obviously, again, not necessary for everyone, but it's finding what's going to work for you and then trying things out.
It's true. Yeah. You got to be easy on yourself, but you definitely have to push yourself as well. You can't just think that your environment or the people around you are going to help you through it. Like, you have to dig down deep.
Yes.
And because you yourself want to get better. And again, addicted to anything.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm addicted to a lot of things.
Yeah. I still am too. Yeah. No question.
But I feel like that they've calmed down a little bit. And we're not talking about cold plunging today, but I love cold plunging. I'm currently addicted to cold plunging. But that's one thing that I look at. I'm like, I go to do this thing and I end up with better cortisol balance, dopamine surges, endorphins. So all these good feels because of cold, and it's good for me. My body is stronger because of it. So I'm like, I will stick with that addiction.
Yep. That's a solid one.
Yeah, it's a good one. So I think there's healthy addictions, but at the end of the day, any addiction is still a person not okay sitting with themselves and sitting in their shit.
It's the worst.
So like at the end of the day, we all have our shit, and you have to learn to sit in your shit.
Yep.
And then filter through it, cleanse it out, figure it out.
That's right.
Raise your
That's a great way
vibe,
to put it. Yes.
Help the world, make it a better place.
Damn right. We're trying.
So, I mean, if anyone, public service announcement, if you are struggling with addiction, get help, reach out to the clinic, ask for referrals, come see us. We deal with, I am not an addiction specialist, and we don't do medication management of addiction, but I'm able to direct people and kind of shine the light on like, what's their next step? What should you do next? There are medications you can use to help curb cravings, which is incredible. So some people need that, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But get some help. Don't try to always figure it out on your own, or use TikTok to get inspirational, TikToks that are going to help you change your life, because those are all over the place. Get some help.
It's important to get it out. Hopefully you have someone that you can talk to.
Right.
Find someone you can talk to, and just will be a good sounding board.
Yeah, absolutely. So awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks.